Why isn't it going? Oh, it went live! Yay!
I like how it says
going live. I pressed the button.
I like how it says paneling, but it looks like that makes me think of like wall panels.
Oh, it's because the eye is like, let me change that banner. The eye looks kind of weird. Like maybe panels for conventions. Maybe I should do that. Because you're right. That looks so weird.
Paneling.
Okay. That looks better, right? Look at the eye. I gotta see if I can maybe change the
maybe it's the
font for our brand because
I think it's fine. No, it's good. Just the word paneling. We'll just avoid the word paneling.
Yeah. All right. So hi everybody. It's Jinx Cosplay and ThermoCosplay here today with Cos Talk Live. We had a little bit of a delayed start, not much, because I pressed the button and it didn't want to go live. So, but now we're live and we're good. I think it's just going to be the two of us today, to my knowledge. There's a lot going on in the world of cosplay and the world of life. I know Ambrose
definitely the world of life.
Well, yeah, Ambrose Cosplay is a teacher, and Arizona started much earlier. I think they started school like the last week of July in a lot of places, and then
for work they did. So all the teachers had to go back.
Started the first week of August, and then Key-chan unfortunately was called into the office today, and I believe Amber Brite had a late night. So we're just here to talk to you about how to do panels for conventions. So hello everybody. We will just keep talking this whole time, even if no one joins, because that's just how we roll.
Except you're going to have to talk by yourself for a while because I'm going to mute myself while I share.
Okay, fair enough. But we should introduce yourself first then so that I can just jump into talking about stuff.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Jessica, or otherwise known as Jinx Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2001, so yes, 20 years. And I like to do a lot of video game cosplay. I like Sam is based. I like Sam and based. Sam and based. Sam and I are based in Arizona. Yeah. And that's it. Hi, welcome.
That was amazing.
and I'll say, as well as my my disclaimer, is that pretty much my panel career started with Sam. So she kind of dragged me into it. So whatever Sam says.
Start with me. My panel career started with
someone else.
with Amber Brite Props and Ben Homano, and then someone else. They were randomly like, "Oh, we like your armor. Come join us." I was like, "What's this?"
That must be how all panels start, huh? Someone else drags you in and you're like, yeah, I can do this. This is cool.
Hi, Anthony.
Hi.
Yeah, we're both like super casual. Well, okay, this is actually casual for me. I dress pretty alternative, so this is actually casual for me.
And I'm wearing my Evolution shirt. Yay! Evolution. Okay.
All right. So hello, cool gamer. So I am Sam from ThermoCosplay. Jinx has done her introductions, and now she's going to disappear. Well, not disappear. She's just going to go quiet for a bit because she likes to share things because she's our social media master. I'm Sam from ThermoCosplay. I've been cosplaying since 2014, and we've been doing Cos Talk Live now for a little bit over a year. So this is really, really cool. And I started cosplay, like I said, in 2014, but I believe I started paneling in 2015. I think I helped someone with the panel in 2014. It may have been Alan Amos Creations, or he helped me, or no, someone dragged me in somehow. And so
someone helped you.
That was like one of those things that like, oh, this just happened. But we've been doing a lot of panels for some time. I did a count, and I think I've done 50 panels. And out of those panels, I believe 25 of them have actually been unique. So half of them have not, most of them aren't even repeats, or if they're a repeat, we've modified them enough to have different information. So we've got a lot of experience with doing panels, and then we've done these streams as well. So we've done a lot of presentation, public speaking, and so we're here to educate you and help you through getting through that nervousness or not sure what to do if you're starting to go to conventions for the first time now that many of them are opening up. We're going to help you figure out how to become a panelist.
I'm so excited. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm so excited. Anthony says, Jinx, I feel bad I forgot to do a 20th anniversary drawing for you. I've been so busy. No problem. Oh my gosh. Even if you get that to me like in 5 years, I would super appreciate it. Like, don't even stress.
Wait, are we doing drawings of Jinx and cosplay? Because I might be up for doing this too, Anthony. Yeah,
Oh
like
my
I think you
god!
should just do a drawing of Jinx collage.
Oh, that'd be so awesome. Oh my gosh. Yay. Yeah, but don't
Yeah.
feel bad. I haven't even been working on my anniversary cosplay. God, like my brain, it's like right there. You can see a little bit of it there. My brain, what is it with August? Like, I feel like August has messed everybody up. No? Just me?
No, August is evil this year. So
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just cannot
yeah.
get my shit together.
Well, and I
But,
keep having problems with like packages and things being delayed and just
oh,
crazy stuff happening. Like my dog had another seizure recently, but thankfully we figured out. I think
Ellie.
we may have figured out what caused it.
She's
But
getting into
needless to
kitty food.
say, yeah, kitty food and dogs don't do it. Don't do
Yeah.
it. Or try to keep them away from each other's food. But I digress. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's been crazy, but we do want to talk about panels. So if you have any questions about how to become a panelist, what the steps are, please start posting them right away. But what we're going to talk about initially is before you even go to a convention website, and we'll show you some examples of how to submit to. Like SabotinCon has a really cool structure, so we'll show you what that looks like. But before you even consider submitting to become a panelist, I highly suggest asking if you can join someone first. Some conventions allow you guys to actually apply in their website to be a panelist if there's open spots. But it's easier to get connected with local networks of cosplayers and just reach out and say, "Hey, I want to start paneling. I want to be a panelist. Could I join you for one, just to see what it's like?" And a lot of people will be like, "Sure." If you don't have any knowledge on the topic or you just want to shadow, that's totally fine. I've actually had a couple people shadow before. We've had people kind of on a panel before that weren't too sure, and then by the middle of the panel they were talking because they were excited. So yeah, we totally suggest shadowing first. So we do have a question from Michelle, and yes, we do have panels for SabotinCon.
Yeah.
So just so you know, if you're going to go to the SabotinCon website right now, they had a server error. So when you look at the actual panels, the times and dates don't match until you click on it and then see the actual date inside the description. So we have panels. I have them all written down because I figured this would happen. But I'll run through those real fast, and then we'll talk about how to become a panelist.
Yeah, and we'll throw them up as events as well on our Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll be adding. Actually, I planned on adding it next week because I was just waiting to make sure there weren't any additional ones going to be added.
Yeah.
But on Friday at SabotinCon, we're going to be doing a thermoplastic workshop for 2.5 hours. It starts at 5:30 p.m. and it's going to be us demoing how to use different types of thermoplastics, both adhesive and non-adhesive. Saturday, we'll be doing a 1 p.m. Cos Talk live stream from SabotinCon and teaching people how to use different streaming software, the nuances of it, and how to engage in an audience. And then at 4 p.m. that same Saturday, we're going to be doing a body painting workshop for 2.5 hours, and we're going to run
painting?
through myself and others. So you want to get painted?
What day was that again?
Saturday.
Okay, I see. Yeah,
it's at 4 p.m.
Okay.
You can always go back to the room and you can.
True.
Or I could do something that's easy to wipe. I could do water-based on you, so it's easy to wipe off.
True. Okay. Well, we'll see.
We'll figure it out.
See, guys.
I have other backups. I have myself, and I have Dawn, and I'm sure Lena, and I
okay.
People. But we'll be doing a body painting workshop. I do want to demo cream, water-based, and alcohol-based makeups, and then we'll talk about powders and tights. Sunday we have nothing.
Yay!
So Sunday we have an open day, and on Monday we do have a 2:30 p.m. retro anime panel, which always is a big one. So if you do want to make our retro anime panel, I hear that they are limiting the number of people that can be in a room. So I'd advise maybe getting outside that room a little bit early because our retro anime always fills up.
We have nothing on Sunday? Are you sure?
I have a meetup at 4 p.m. I'm going to be at the Fate Stay Night meetup if you want to see me, but no other panels on Sunday, which is kind of nice.
I think I'm joining Diana for a panel, I think.
Yeah. I think you are. So, okay. But, yeah, if anybody ever needs help with panels too, and we're available, I'm sure we would love to help you out, as long as it's something we know a bit about.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is with panels, you have to really do a lot of prep work. So I'm going to share our slide deck that we have. I've done a lot of different panels, but I'm going to share. Let me go to this Chrome tab, go to Google Slides. All right, so I like to use Google Slides because as a panelist, a lot of people will bring laptops or some kind of like a laptop or a tablet. I actually just bring my cell phone. So I just bring my cell phone and I have an adapter. That's one thing you're going to want to really make sure you have with you if you go to conventions. You want an adapter for VGA and HDMI to USB-C because a lot of laptops use USB-C now as well, or it's going to be VGA to HDMI or HDMI to USB-C or HDMI to HDMI. But basically, there are these little adapter kits that you can buy off of Amazon and actually at most technology stores where it's just one junction and you've got 3 splitting out. So I highly suggest bringing adapters with you. If you cannot acquire an adapter, make sure that you contact the convention in advance before presenting your panel. Ask them what kind of technology they have and see if they have adapters. A lot of them actually do have adapters, but sometimes they run out, which is why I like to bring my own. But I just bring my phone. So Google Slides is really great because Google Slides allows you to download as a PDF. So you have it available offline. And the offline mode basically makes it a PDF that you can just scroll through. And it's really easy to present on pretty much any medium. So make sure you consider, if you're going to be a panelist at a convention, what the technological needs will be. Also, if you're not good at projecting, I recommend asking for a microphone from the convention, or they have little mini microphones now that you can buy that kind of are like a little baby megaphone. So you can do that as well. There are some, if there's going to be a room of more than 50 people, typically a convention will include a microphone for you. But if it's under 50 people, a lot of the time you're going to have to use your own voice. And I'm a quiet person, so I've learned how to project, or if I'm too quiet, I lean over to the person next to me and be like, hey, can you tell them this? And then I work on whatever device we're doing. So,
we translate for Sam.
Yeah. But with, I'm going to open up the Star Wars Aliens one, because this is one that required a considerable amount of research and data collection. So we do this panel off and on where we do the top 25 Star Wars aliens. The aliens rotate all the time. There's usually 4 or 5 that always stay there just because they're so awesome. We can't get rid of them. But this panel is definitely one of my favorites. It's just, it took a lot of work. So a lot of people think that with a panel, you can just walk in and talk to people. Some individuals at a convention do just want to talk. They want to communicate, they want to network, and they want to just have good discussions. A lot of the times that we've been to panels, people don't want to talk. They're tired. They want to use the panel as a way to sit down, take a break, and learn something.
I'm pretty guilty of that.
So we expect both. We expect that anyone who's sitting up front probably wants to interact with us, and anyone behind the front row is like, I just want to learn. So
don't pick me out, please.
So usually, and that's our experience. Anytime we've done a panel, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jinx, but individuals in the front row are almost always the ones that want to interact with us.
Yep. Definitely. And they will, like they're there. I think when people go to panels, even if they're maybe a quiet person, they're more apt to, speak up, because that's what panels are for. They go there to learn, and they know that that's their chance to get really good one-on-one information. So, but if you are not that person, sit in the back. We won't even know you're there. Like, of course we'll know you're there, but we won't pick on you. Yeah. We get it. We have done that once in a while where we just want to sneak into a panel, sit down, and just chill and see what's going on.
Yeah, so unless your panel specifically states it's a Q&A or a discussion, you need to have prepared to do some kind of activity, some kind of demonstration, or some kind of presentation. Otherwise, people will walk out of your panels. I have sadly seen it happen before. I've stayed in a couple panels, even though I was a little bored, just because I felt so bad seeing so many people leave. And honestly, it was just the individual wasn't prepared. It was probably the first time. No one had warned them about what was required for being a panelist. And so a lot of the times now, more conventions are actually asking you to audition. or they're going through a really thorough review process to make sure you have all of your little ducks in a row, right?
And I think a lot of it is because obviously when you go to a panel, it's, you know, especially the ones that are well prepared, it looks easy. Like, oh, you just go up there and sit. And if you don't have any kind of experience of like public speaking or on camera experience, there's a lot that you could, you know, totally just forget. If you're not someone that's normally someone that speaks in, wow, listen to my vocabulary. I sound like someone who doesn't speak in front of people normally. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's not easy to just get up there and talk. Like, you guys see us here and you think it's easy, but of course, like, we started with experience, and then of course we gained more experience as we were doing this show. So yeah, don't think that you can go up there and be like, unless you are, there are very few people that can do just talking, you know, they can captivate a room. But again, that's like either a learned skill or, you know, a talent. And most people don't have that. So don't think that you can just, I'm just going to wing it. No, don't ever wing it. It'll just be so embarrassing and bad. If you're not good at speaking, like Sam said, like start with a slideshow.
Yeah.
Because then you have all the information there.
Yeah, because the thing is now we've become so experienced at speaking, we often deviate from the slideshows because we have more topics to discuss. But for starters, say I was doing the Star Wars panel. So the first thing I would do is like I would greet everyone, let them know, hey, this is going to be a list of our top 25 Star Wars aliens. We're going to be showing slides, images, and talking about descriptions of these individuals. So if you have any questions or you have a favorite that we didn't cover, shout it out. So that's kind of what we do. We introduce who is a part of the panel with us. So like if I had introduced myself, then it would be Jinx and whomever else is with us. So that way everyone knows who we are. And if they do have questions and they want to direct it to a specific person, they can. And a lot of conventions also will give you a name card. So you can put the name card in front of yourself. And that way they know who you are as well.
Yeah. Sometimes we get people on panels that just want to see us, like not to see us, but like they follow us. And so they just want to come and see. They're not necessarily familiar with the topic. But then there's people that come for the topic but don't know the speakers. So regardless of who's in your audience, always take that opportunity, because that's like your time to be like, hey, this is me. You know, you can follow me at whatever. And then as Sam said, lay out the format of the panel, because sometimes I've walked into panels and been like, what's going on? Like,
yeah, you want to basically give them a little bit of an agenda, like a little synopsis of what's actually going to happen. Because then if they're like, oh, cool, I have time to use the bathroom and then I can come back. Some people will do that. Or they're just riveted and they want to stay. So
a couple of comments here. Did we say, Michelle has one super late on Sunday. Okay. If you're on our Discord, guys, you can share your panels. So make sure you're on our Discord, and then we'll get a Sabo chat going. Anthony says, Jinx, I was wondering, since you cosplay Widowmaker, would you think that cosplaying Angela Moore Widowmaker? I mean, I always have stuff on my tentative. I already have too many Overwatch ones on my tentative, so that will have to wait. But yeah, I do like that skin. And Veronica says, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Sorry, Sam.
Hi.
Continue.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to try loading. Oh, it doesn't want me to load this one. That's right. This is one I have to download to my phone because it's really big. So there are some panels. I'm going to share the screen again just to show you guys the panels that we were looking at earlier. There are some panels such as my Steven Universe sing-along, my Fallout 4, and my retro anime panel. You'll notice that there's no preview images on these ones. These were made in PowerPoint and uploaded to Google. Just a word of warning, if you are trying to make something on Google Slides that has a video, you will need to download the video, or you'll need to ensure you have internet connection to display it. So I always build any of my panels, like my retro anime panel, which is literally 30 clips.
All just videos, yeah.
All video. Anytime we do something like that, we make it in PowerPoint. We download the actual video itself and we embed it into the PowerPoint so that no matter where we upload or download it to, we don't have to worry about the videos not being available. But if you are going somewhere and you are going to have internet connection and you're not too worried about the service, then you can just make everything in Google Slides or some kind of free, like Microsoft has something as well that you can use. So you can use any of that. I prefer Google because typically the offline mode works really, really well.
And Google's so nice because you can just share it with your other panelists so they're familiar with it as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big Google stan, I guess. I've never used that in my life, but now I have. So I'm all about Google. I love that everything is like on the cloud and that you can just share everything. So especially if you have like 4 or 5 other panelists, definitely a good way. That's what we'll do too, is we'll have our phone and then we can watch the actual panel as, you know, Sam's playing it on the big screen, so we know we're not constantly like, what's going on, unless it's retro anime.
And that's one thing too. Whenever you share your device, I highly recommend doing what's called a duplicate share mode, so you can look at whatever's being shared on your device, and then you know the same thing's being shared on the presentation screen, so you're not having to look back and forth, because looking back and forth is actually very distracting for an audience, because they're going to start looking around wondering what's going on too. So just be mindful of any of your body actions the audience will react to. So they're reading your body language to understand what's going to happen next. That's one thing that no one really told me in the beginning. And I'm like a twitchy movie person. So like I have Lena sit next to me or Jess sit next to me because I talk very fast. Thankfully, this stream has taught me to slow down. But I'm worried that because I'm going back to Sableton, it's been a while, I might resume that. So having someone sit next to me that can tap my leg and remind me that my body language is nervous and anxious and to calm down will then make sure that my audience isn't feeling the same. So having someone to go, hey, you're being twitchy.
Like, not twitchy.
Oh. Yeah. But for one of our, so I was showing you the Star Wars panels, and that was a lot of research. I went to Wikipedia. Yes, there is a Wikipedia. And I got a lot of my information there. But say you don't have any like research to do, and it's based off of experience, right? So panels where it's research and you're just downloading images or videos are a little bit easier because you have a source to reference. For cosplay, it's very subjective. And so when we do our cosplay question and answer panels, it changes from audience member to audience member how they're going to react and interact with the content we're providing. So I'll show you guys some of the slides and information I've collected for this. If you want to talk more, Jess, while I kind of go through this.
Ooh, I get to talk?
Yeah.
So definitely another thing that helps when you're doing your first panel is writing out your script. I know script sounds funny to say, like you're not getting on stage and talking, but having a guideline, even at least bullet points of things that you want to say are definitely helpful, because you're going to forget stuff. You know, we even get on this show and we're like, oh, we forgot to talk about so-and-so. I mean, we do have bullet points, we do, but we like to just, but we also like to talk with the flow of the show.
And that's why I like speaker notes. The speaker notes at the bottom of Google Slides. Whenever you're presenting, it's not going to show up on the actual projector, but it will show up on your device, so you can, oh, that's right, I need to comment on this.
Yeah. And you don't want to be reading everything that's already on the slide. So don't put a whole paragraph on the slide and then read it. You know, people are more visual. So put a couple of pictures, maybe a couple of captions, and then you're going to read off what's at the bottom. So that's where, and you don't want to be too scripted too. Of course, if it's your first time, like you're going to be learning this kind of thing on your own, but definitely like how it says competing. So we're not going to put on there like, when you compete, you're going to blah, 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 because people just want to look at the pictures while you talk. Especially cosplay is such a visual art, of course. So definitely have script ready, even if it's just a couple of bullet points or keywords. Maybe you're not good at writing. You don't have to be good at writing to do this. You just need to know.
And this is,
your main
you do
points.
all of this before you even apply to the panel. So all the stuff we're referencing, you want to prepare before you even go to apply. So
yeah,
you gotta be prepared. Because if something happens between when you applied and the convention and you can't create the content, it's just going to be a lot harder for you.
There's also a lot of people submitting panels. They don't take every single panel that's submitted. So more and more, I think in the earlier-ish days, they kind of took any panels because there wasn't that many, especially in topics of cosplay. And I think over the years, they've seen that, you know, quality is important as well, not just quantity. So I do see more and more people applying for panels. And of course, they'll pick whatever they need kind of based on their, you know, their focus. So Sabo obviously is more of like a Japanese culture focused convention. And they're going to want some variety as well. So, of course, there's always going to be a Cosplay 101 panel because there is one in Sabo. But if, you're going to submit a Cosplay 101 panel too, either yours is going to be amazing or they're just going to go with someone else's. So if you don't have the confidence that yours is going to be picked, try something else. Try budget cosplay or try reusing cosplay. There's other topics that you probably don't realize that you are a master of until you're like, oh yeah, I always go to Goodwill for pieces. So there's always other ideas that you can do in terms of cosplay. So
yeah, I agree. If you guys have any questions, again, please be sure to post them. So say you are ready to submit. Like, what do you do? So let's take SabotinCon, and then let's take, what other convention do we want to use? Sabotin, Caillou, and maybe Phoenix as examples?
Yeah,
or Emerald
Phoenix
City?
I would say like Phoenix, Sabo, and then maybe, one in California. Those are going to be tough. Like there's
I've gotten into LA Comic Con twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
So those are obviously going to be a lot more intense to get into because the LA Con scene has been around a lot longer than Phoenix Con scene, so they have a lot more experienced panelists. Their topics are probably going to be a little bit more wide ranged, not much Cosplay 101 going on over there. Maybe there is. I don't want to be judgy, but
it's going to submitting is going to be different. And
what we usually do, so kind of like, let's talk about like how we plan the panel stuff. Like usually Sam has her ideas, her usual ones, and she'll submit, and we kind of go along with that. But sometimes if we want to come up with a couple of new things, we'll kind of throw out some ideas. First I think of like a topic, like, oh, let's do, like I think one of mine was like how video game cosplay has evolved. So that was one of my topic ideas. And then kind of we talk about like how much knowledge we have on it or how we might present it, and especially the person that wants to present it. So if I presented the idea, then I need to come up with, kind of what the bullet points would be or what the focus would be. And that's kind of what we do in our group. We're lucky to have a group of, cosplayer friends that kind of have different expertise, and we're willing to kind of jump in on each other's panels with what we have and what we know. I know it's not the same for everybody. Sometimes one person has one idea, but you can always present that to your whole like circle of friends, and be like, hey guys, I have this idea for a panel. Is anyone interested in joining me on it? So you don't need to be 100% expert. Like I know that a lot of people get worried about like gatekeeping and like judgment out there. But if you have a love for it, and you really enjoy whatever this topic is, even if you're not an expert, you can still join the panel because people want to hear all these different sides of perspectives. And if there's only one person there, you can do a panel with just by yourself. But to be honest, like definitely more than one person, 2 or 3 people, I think is a more interesting panel because then you have the host.
It makes it easier to bounce ideas off of. So,
yes. So you have the host to talk with, and then you have the audience to talk with as well. So
I'm going to share when we submitted to SabotinCon, only have one person if you're going to do group submit because you don't want to have duplicates. So this is the SabotinCon website. If you go to their schedule, you click on this. It's going to take a second. Sorry. I know they're busy. There are all these different options up at the top. Now, I believe that their panel section has ended. So if you click on submit panel, submissions have closed. A lot of conventions will tell you when the submissions have or have not closed. But what we can do is we can look at my panels that I did submit. So you can see that not all of them were actually approved. So it's going to load in a second. So here are all the panels that were submitted. The 2 that remain in reviewed status were not approved. And these 4 were approved. And so when you submit, I'll show you all the information you have to enter. So I'll go ahead and click on the retro anime panel, kind of give you an example of what is required. So you need to have a description. You need to have information about the panelist. I asked for them to update mine. I'm still waiting for them to get back to me on that. So that needs to be updated. And you'll need this description. But if you go into settings, you're actually going to see everything I had to submit. So I had to submit a subject. I had to submit a description. for print, and then I had to submit a description for web because sometimes the length of those varies. I also had to submit selection information. So I had to explain I'm going to keep this PG-13 or lower. I need a projector and that has HDMI capability. And this is going to be a presentation of anime clips. I had to select what my tags would be and whether or not I needed panel support. And for this, like I need a projector and screen, right? So that's all the information that I have here. So I'll save this again. I don't know why every time I come in here, it makes me choose this again, but whatever.
Goes back to default.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll go through my panels. I'll make sure that like my other panel has a projector too. That would be really important. But basically, you'll want to go through every single one of these. I'm going to show you a different section. So here's our Cause Talk Live one. We'll go into our settings. It's the same information as you can see here. And yeah, I need this. But then also, you'll see that this is when it's scheduled, start end times, and then you'll also see that I have panelists.
Yay!
So this one allows you to submit up to 3 additional panelists. Emerald City Comic Con, for example, which has larger rooms, typically allows up to 6 panelists. Wow. Because the average room at Emerald City is like over 100 people or more. So they're larger panel spaces. I've only been in like 1 or 2 that was smaller than that. The largest panel, I think, at Emerald City had 800 or could fit 800. And I think I filled like 3/4 of the room. Wow. So every event is going to have different size of people. Please make sure you are prepared to present to a room of 800 people. It may be intimidating, but it is likely going to be a possibility. And just understand that a lot of panels in Arizona are smaller. Phoenix seems to be the one with the largest panel space. But most of them in Arizona are only going to require, goodness, like maybe 50 to 150 people.
We had a lot of people at the TayuCon Retro Anime. That was the biggest room. It was like it would look like a college lecture hall.
Yeah, it was like 3 of their rooms put together.
Yeah, I was like, dang, don't get pretty everyone come watch anime, yay!
Yeah, so
that's the other thing. Actually, Sam said be prepared to present in front of 800 people, and this is the same kind of rule we follow when we stream, is be prepared to present in front of 800 people or no one.
Yeah.
Or what?
It looks like they fixed the problem. Like you actually see September 3rd now. Yay!
Oh, yay! But yeah, you never want to be like, and this is when I started streaming a couple years ago. I got a piece of advice, and it's the best piece of advice, and I always give it to everybody, is like always perform like you have an audience, even if you don't, because if you're, doing whatever and 0 people are watching you and you're like, oh my God, I don't even have any viewers, and someone shows up and they see you like this, like, oh my God, like I suck. Oh, okay, well, whatever. No one's watching me, so I'm just going to do whatever. They're going to leave. Yep. So same with, and in person, it can be a lot harder because, okay. And I'll say, like, if there's 0 people in the room, you don't necessarily have to be doing something like that. We understand, because when someone walks in, then you can interact with them personally. But always perform, even if there is that one person. It's like me and Sam, like I'm up here and Sam's like this listening. I'm going to talk to Sam like she's like 100 people.
Yep.
So that is one key, is because confidence is key. And again, like you can fake it till you make it. It just is going to be a little harder.
And we've done that before too, where for some reason, like we had one where our panel time was messed up in the printed schedule, but was correct on the digital schedule. So people came a half hour later expecting it to be the starting time. So there was one time where we're like, all right, I'm going to sit here, you talk to me, and then we'll switch spots. And then so it looks like they're actually presenting to someone. So when someone walks in, they don't feel the awkward of, oh, I shouldn't be here. They just like, oh, cool. And they can just come in. So even if you don't have a room full of people, if you don't have a person presenting with you, put your laptop bag or your purse on a chair and talk to the bag. It might be a hilarious conversation starter.
That's why if you're doing it for the first time, like we always encourage at least one other panelist with you. Even if it's your best friend and they don't know anything about the subject, like they can ask you questions. So that's another thing, is like if you don't have quite, if you don't have a detailed presentation, maybe then you can bring in someone else that has some knowledge on it, but ask questions. Because as an expert, we're going to know all the stuff. We're not going to be like, hey, well, how do you sew a straight seam, Sam? Because I already know how to. So someone else that doesn't can help the conversation get going. So it's always good. Like sometimes Sam will be like, hey, come to this panel. And I'm like, but I don't know that much stuff. And she's like, well, then ask me, ask me this or ask me that. Because sometimes the audience might not think of it. Sometimes I might be shy to ask. So that's always another way to go too. So don't think like I need to find another hardcore fan just like me to be on my panel. At least someone that you are comfortable talking to is good. And then maybe you can even give them some questions. Like maybe, hey, maybe you can ask me a couple things. That's another way to go too.
Yeah, I agree. My light's being weird today. I give up.
August is weird, guys.
Dude, like the lighting outside is weird, and I'm like having a hard time balancing my light today. Like I don't know.
Because your window is like right in front of you, isn't it?
Yeah. I have like one here, and then I have like my window, and I'm just like
my window's here.
Yeah. So another thing. So I'll show you like another. Say you are going to the website for the first time. So I'm going to use like Emerald City as an example. And you're like, where do I even find the panels? Some of these aren't very obvious, right? So sometimes what you can do is you can do like a Control F on most browsers and you can look for program, but that doesn't always work if it's not searchable. So I highly recommend going into areas where you're going to see Explore, Industry, Media, anything in that. Typically under Explore in most places or information on the show, there'll be information about programming and stuff like that. And then you can, from there, find more links about how to submit information. For this particular convention, it's actually underneath Industry. And you go into their panel section, and then you click on Panel and Programming Application. Now, this is probably one of the longest program applications I've ever submitted. Every time I submit, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is intense. Sometimes the bigger conventions like Emerald City and anything in California, they're going to be scrutinized a lot more.
Because they're going to have a lot more people submitting.
Yes. So you're going to have to review all of the questions asked. Make sure you look at these, and then you'll click on the Apply button, which I think I'm going to have to share my other screen. Give me 1 second. It decided to open a pop-up instead of in the same window.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, it doesn't even have to be about about panels. You can ask us anything in the questions.
So here is their program application. So since ReadPop has multiple conventions, you actually have to enter all of your information. You even have to enter your company or job title if it's pertaining to your panel. Make sure you read the rules. Most conventions will only offer you a pass for yourself and whoever's presenting with you, but they will not do anything else. Some conventions now, too, they aren't even offering free passes. You have to get a discounted pass, so please be sure you read about this. If you're doing
or they'll give you a pass for the day that you're presenting. Sometimes that's too.
Yeah. So for this one, you have to choose what event you'd like to present at. You have to say, if it's not available for physical space, can you do digital? Because a lot of conventions are doing that now as well. Then you do the usual where you enter your title name, you enter what the description of the program is going to be, you enter the number of participants you think are going to be there. Emerald City does allow you to edit this, which is awesome. And then you can tell them about any other information you need, like, hey, I need this projector, or this might be sensitive for some viewers, or this is 18 plus, all of that data. And you go through here and you start checking all of the boxes. Okay.
And you know what? I would also, if you haven't submitted before, like go to a friend that has maybe, or someone that might have some questions about your panel. Because if you might not think it's 18 plus, and then maybe you present it to a friend who has kids and they're like, whoa, then maybe you'll have to rethink and be like, oh, I should probably put, disclaimer on it. Exclaimer. It's adult only. So it always helps to try and get some feedback on your panel ideas as well.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yay.
Now let's go to a local convention in Arizona. We'll go to Phoenix.
Which is in January next year, which we're super excited about, because if you guys have never been to Phoenix, it is freaking hot in May already. And that's when this is usually held. So we're all super excited to do it in January, which might be snow for you guys, but it is perfect for us.
It's great weather for us.
Perfect.
So
we can wear all the layers of cosplay, all the armor that we, that we don't, because usually in May, we plan our cosplays based on the temperature.
Yep.
So yeah. So super excited.
So Phoenix has changed their website recently. So if you're looking to become a panelist, you're going to want to let's see here. I believe it's right here. So you can start looking through for information on the info and FAQ area. I know that it's under here somewhere. Right now, the easiest way, to be honest, to see if you can become a panelist for Phoenix Fan Fusion is to email eva@squareegg.com and then present your ideas to them. That's simply because they're beginning to start requiring auditions for panelists. And they're not the only convention that do this. Some conventions require you to show streaming samples, or they require you to do like a 3 to 5 minute video giving a presentation so they can see how charismatic you are. And they'll also want videos from whoever's participating with you. There's been a trend in recent conventions where people show up and there's only one person presenting and the rest of the panelists are just there for a free pass. So that's why more conventions are locking it down, and they really want you to prove yourself. That's why they ask so much information.
Yeah. And I've been to a panel or walked into a panel or have seen some on the program, like, in the past couple of years where I'm like, how did this make the program, guys? Or it's one thing and you go to the panel and it's completely not it. I'm like, you guys pulled a fast one on the panel planners. So they're starting to crack down on that.
Yeah, so just be aware if you're one. That's why I highly suggested if you're starting out as a panelist that you shadow with someone so you can learn. They're also starting most conventions. If you've submitted a panel, you've been accepted, what they'll do is they'll send you a list of days and times that works for their schedule. And you can ask for them to move it around, but there's no guarantee they will. So I highly suggest you do not make any plans for the convention until you get those times of when your panels are going to be. Now, the only time they usually will move it around is if you're a masquerade participant and you're like, hey, I have to be judging here and I have to be in the masquerade room here. Then they'll work with you.
Yeah, because they usually
any other time.
Because usually they accept panels before they accept masquerade entrance. So that's something that they will make adjustments for. So.
Yeah. But other than that, you don't make plans. Just do not make plans if you want to be a panelist. And then once you get all that information, that's why, like I told everybody, I don't know what I'm doing for Salvo yet until I have my panelist. And now that I have my panelist, I can go, oh, well, then I can do a Photoshop here. I can do check-in here. I can do this group meetup at this time. But if you just understand that if you ask for too many concessions, the panel may just, like the convention may just drop you as a panelist altogether. They're like, hey, we really liked your idea, but we just can't fit you in, and they'll move on. So you will have to sacrifice some things if you're going to be a panelist. But being a panelist is really rewarding. It's fun. You get to interact with a whole lot of people, and it does
get to meet new people.
Networking opportunities. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the biggest reasons why I started was, one, I had so much random experience of stuff that I had tried out I wanted to share. And some of my experiences were different from other people. And they're like, how did you do that so easily? Well, this is what I did. What? And then they did something that I'm like, how did you do that easily? So sharing knowledge is really useful. But it's not, you don't get to say when you want your panel scheduled. Now you can suggest a time when you submit the panel. You can say, hey, I'd really like to do it on mornings or afternoons on these days. And then they'll give you a time slot, but there's no guarantee that will work. So
if you guys have ever
traveling, if you're flying, you need to give yourself an extra day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Always, because you can't leave if your panel's at 6 p.m. on a Sunday and your flight's at 7. So
right. Yeah. And if you guys have ever opened up the panel book, the schedule, and it looks like, a SAT test, that's why you can't really be flexible with your schedule. You have to be flexible with your schedule. They can't be flexible with theirs because they've got to fit all these panels in like Tetris, and changing something will probably require changing 4 other panels. So that's why you really have to just kind of let it be the priority until you can figure out what you're doing, and then
and it's room space too, right? Like it's whether or not they even have the room space available. So say your panel would work better in their workshop room, but you can't do it at that time.
Yeah.
Well, okay, they want to move you to another room, but then the only space they have is a ballroom. They're not going to give you the ballroom.
Yeah.
They're going to keep the ballroom with whatever large panel's happening.
And they're going to keep equipment into one room as much as they can. So if you need the projection and screen, they're going to try and put you in a room that already has one, or maybe they'll have one all day that has the projection screen. And you can't be like, well, I got to do this time and I'll be over in this wing, and they don't have a room there for you. Then they're just going to drop you. So those are some things to keep in mind if you really want to keep your panel in the schedule.
Yeah.
So.
Finally, you have received your schedule, you've received your time, you've got yourself approved. What do you do? Okay, we'll use Salboton as an example because the way that they do panels is very different than any other event I've been to personally. So Salboton Con, you have to go in the morning and you have to go to a panelist desk and you check in and they give you a badge for that day. This is how they ensure that nobody is just getting a full event badge and not going to the rest of their panels. So each day you have to check in the morning and replace your one-day badge with whatever the new badge is. Now, at the end of the event,
that's kind of sad because I like to keep the badges. But
at the end of the event, you actually, because I did this one year. At the end of the event, I was like, hey, I'd really like a full event badge. I worked 8 hours for you guys with panels. They're like, yeah, sure, and they'll give you a badge. But it usually isn't until the end of the event when you're leaving. So like when you're doing the final check-in, you're like, hey, can I get the full event badge instead of the Sunday or Monday badge? And most of the time they'll be like, yeah, sure, because they know that all the work you've done into it, right? Now, if you're only presenting one panel, they're not going to give you a full event badge. Salboton, to be a full-time panelist, I believe you have to present a minimum of 4 panels. So every convention's different. Some panels like Emerald City, you only have to present 1 panel, but that's because Emerald City has incredibly limited programming, right? They're only open from, I believe, for panels, I want to say it's like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. And they only run for 4 days. So that means that they have a very limited amount. And it was a shocking revelation to me when they accepted me on 2 panels one year. I was like, whoa.
Nice.
So,
yeah, because what we're used to is like a lot of conventions will run them all day. So of course, after a certain time, then is the adult plus plus programming. So yeah, that's kind of unusual that they stop at 6 o'clock, because even a lot of people like to do stuff during the day, maybe hit panels in the evening or something, so that's definitely something that you need to look into.
And then so Salboton, you're checking every day. Phoenix Fan Fusion, I believe this is what happened in the past. Phoenix Fan Fusion, to be a full-time panelist, I believe is still 4 panels, or that may have changed. But I know there is a number of panels you have to do to be considered full-time. And then they will give you a full event badge, but you do have to sign documentation stating that you will be present for the panels. And if you're not in your room 15 minutes in advance, they will call you. They will find you and you will go to your room. They are very big about following up. Like I was just stuck in the check-in line at Phoenix trying to get ready for a Fallout panel, and security wouldn't let us through with a pair of boots. And so I got called and I was like, this is what's happening. And the person was like, if they don't let you in, finally someone from the other side was like, let them in. It's a pair of boots. And so we walked in with boots, and it was because they were triggering this.
To be fair, the boots were like the size of my head.
They were stilted boots for a power armor, but we had to carry them because we couldn't dress him outside. It was too hot. And they have steel reinforcement in them so that, when he's wearing the shoes, he doesn't collapse under the weight of his armor and his body. And so they were upset that there was steel in them and they wanted to take them apart. I'm like, you can't. It's literally been epoxied together. So you can't take these shoes apart. And so we finally had someone go like, are you serious? Like half the people whose shoes I've scanned at this convention have metal in them for support. Like let them through. So we got through, but I was only like maybe 3 minutes behind and I got that call. So they make sure that you're in your room.
And they check. Time. They will. So
they do mic checks too. That's the reason. Is 5 minutes before the panel starts, they have a mic check that's required.
Yeah, they'll have staff come in. They'll even check like, hey, do you need anything? So I love it when they come in like, saying that they're there to help you, but they're also checking to make sure that you're there. And because they don't want like a whole room full of people being like, where's our panel? Because that's really bad feedback. That looks really bad for an event. And again, like being there 15 minutes early, check the panel before you. You might even want to sit in and listen. Panelists love to support other panelists, so that might even be a subject that you like. Then you can sit there and kind of like decompress while you're at that previous panel, and then you'll be ready for yours.
Yeah.
So definitely don't be rushing to your panel. Try as much as you can to put it in your schedule to be in the room, at least I'd say 30 minutes, because if you say 30 minutes, you're going to end up being like 10 minutes later. So then it'll
most
be 20
conventions
minutes.
require 30 minutes between panels. So if you do go into the room and the panel is still going for another 15 minutes, you are allowed to walk up to that desk and be like, my panel is next. You're over your panel time. I need to set up. And if they cause any problems, that's where you get convention staff. I've had this problem before where I had individuals go like, well, we're just answering questions. And I'm like, you have all of your props set up. You're taking up all the space. I can't even get on the stage because it's so messy right now. You have 5 minutes to clean this up. Well, we need 20. My panel starts in 20. You cannot spend the whole 20 minutes. And you need to get these people out. And so most conventions will have security come in 5 minutes after a panel, and they'll start clearing people out. But if it's really busy, if it's on like peak day, it's very difficult for them to do that. So just understand that. Make sure you have a contact, like a phone number for somebody who is managing your area, so you can call them if you do run into problems. Because I have had that happen before. I've had a particular set of individuals from Tucson who do this to me anytime I come after them. And they are always like, oh, well, you can just wait while we pack up. And I'm like, no, you were supposed to in your panel 10 minutes ago. That 10 minutes you could have used packing and just talking to people while you were packing, and you disregarded that and you're being disrespectful. Yeah. And they've actually had fewer and fewer panels now at events because of that behavior. And so just don't do that. Be respectful. Being 5 minutes over makes sense. If you think you're going to go longer, start packing up and move out of the move towards the door. Say, hey, I'd love to keep talking with you, but let's start moving towards the door so that whomever is setting up next can do so. Because I've definitely had problems where I'm like, okay, you know what? This is going to go longer. Let me unhook my computer or let me unhook my phone. Let me grab all the stuff I've got. And then we walk towards the door. And once it's about 10 minutes before the panel is going to start, I make sure we're out in the hallway because I don't want to disrupt whatever that individual is trying to set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing is like be respectful of all these other panels in the schedule, because not only are you going to get, in fisticuffs with the next panelist, but the convention staff will know this. And they'll be like, well, we probably won't. Like Sam said, like that group has been getting less and less panels. So another good thing to have ready is your contact info. One of the easiest ways to do this is put it on a slide on your presentation, leave it up there while people are asking questions and they can write down the information or whatever. Another thing you can do is have business cards. Again, we've talked about this in our marketing episode, and we can talk about it again. You do not need expensive business cards. If you really don't have a budget for it, just print them out on computer paper and cut them out. Or there's another thing people are doing is QR codes now. You can put a QR code on the table and you can say, hey guys, I've got my QR code here. If you want to contact me later with your questions, you're free to. That's another way to do it if you run out of time for questions. That also encourages them to check out your social media.
And that's one thing, like this particular SFX panel, I was like, this is me. I'm ThermoCosplay. And then I put like an introduction of who I am. And then when the panel ends, I go right back to that beginning slide and be like, this is my name. Just look up this name. And that's a good way to do it as well.
Yeah. If all else fails, like I said, put it on the last slide and leave it up. Leave it up for as long as you can.
One thing I highly suggest for panelists outside of the slides and QR codes is if you have the funds, business cards. Business cards. So a lot of cosplayers will try to hand them out, but honestly, business cards work so much better at panels. So like, I have my business card here. I have a stack of business cards. These are my older ones. I haven't printed any new ones because I was like,
there's mine.
I'll print some new ones later. But it literally has, on the front, it has, I don't know if you guys can focus.
I even have pros and cons one too. And they actually
are super useful.
Yeah, they had to change their contact info, so they actually just went and put like the little address labels on it too. So that's something that you can do too. So
the address labels. Yeah, so mine, I just do my, like, what I am, my name on the front, and then I just put my website and my different socials on the back where you can at me.
yeah, so I
If you
think
can
you got
only,
yours on Vista, right?
yeah, if you can only
Yeah,
afford
mine too.
one-sided, then just do one-sided and put all the contact information on the front. Or
And
do
then
what
even
you said, where you print the front, make it pretty, and then you put the address labels on the back.
yes,
Because address labels are super cheap to print on a printer.
yes, absolutely.
So
And
whatever
also
method works best for you.
if you leave one part blank, you could always maybe write info on there too. Maybe like,
Yeah.
and this is a tip that comes from Amber Brite, is
That's
that
why
maybe
I
you
have
could,
so much space in the back of my card, so I can write stuff.
so maybe you can write the character that you were, so they don't forget, like Thane Krios, so that oh, that's right, that was that Thane Krios cosplayer, especially when you're getting your photo taken. Now that's a whole other thing we're starting to go off,
and
but
if the photographer or the individual at the panel has a specific question, I can write down, wanted to talk about plastic, or I was the pink girl, or like, something, so they know what to reference. And like, oh, that's right, I talked to the pink girl about this. Cool.
Yeah.
But usually keep it simple. If they're not a fan, like she mentioned photographers, and we have had photographers and videographers at panels. That's actually one thing I want to cover once I cover this real fast. But not everyone's going to know who you are. So even if I wrote Thane Krios or Nurse Joy, someone may not know. So just like describe, I had the crazy pink wig with the super circles on them, like something like that. Now, if you are a panelist, this is one thing I'm going to warn you about. This is the digital age. More and more panels are being streamed live. If you do not want to be on the internet, do not be a panelist.
Oh, yes, definitely.
If you don't want to be on the internet, don't go to a convention. Every convention has a clause now that says you are accepting to be videographed and photographed while at this event. Now, you still should provide consent, but when you're on a panel, you're providing a service for that convention. So you are basically accepting that they will be photographing and videographing, or
Videograph.
Videograph.
That's a cool word.
That
should be a thing, videograph.
It is a thing, but but they recording you is what I meant to say. But they will be photographing you and recording you.
That they will use for their purposes.
Yes.
So they can use for future promotions.
You're providing a service, but they're also bartering with you by giving you some kind of free pass or money. Every convention varies, but they are giving you something in return. So you're representing their event, which means like Emerald City records every single one of their panels. Same thing with LA Comic-Con. So you're going to need to be prepared to be on video.
That's a good point, because obviously, like when you're at a con, everyone cosplayers will have their photos taken a lot. But maybe you're thinking, well, I'm not a cosplayer, I'm just doing a panel. But again, like Sam said, and it's probably in the small print of your agreement for a panel.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. So
when you submit, there's really small print at the bottom that says you're submitting to this, you're consenting to it, so it's there.
Yes. So just be aware of that as well. That it's kind of if you're not used to the spotlight, it's a step to take towards it that you need to be prepared for. Not saying that, oh my gosh, you're going to be famous, you're going to blow up and everything. No. But some people aren't used to that kind of exposure and attention. But if you really love to do panels, that's going to be a part of it.
Yeah, so if you're going to do panels and you don't want people knowing your real name or anything like that, I highly suggest creating a page with a moniker. So that way you can just have those individuals call you by that name, because you will get notifications. I had one panel accidentally use my full legal name. I don't care anymore. But I had them use my full legal name before I was prepared for the level. And I got like 32 friend requests from people I didn't even know. And it was just because they couldn't remember my cosplay name. But for some reason, they remembered my personal name. And so I was like, I don't know who you are. Like, I'm like, oh, you did this panel, and I just want to ask you some questions. I'm like, okay, ask them here. Because I'm not friendly. I met you once. I don't even live in that state. I'm sorry.
That's another thing to keep
people I know in person very close.
Yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind as well, is like not only for your personality as a cosplayer or whatever kind of like convention personality you want to create, make a separate account, make a page, because people, when they start leaking into your personal life, it can get really stressful. I actually keep my personal page locked pretty tight as well. And that stems all the way back to a job that I used to do where everyone was always adding me all the time. So that's just something to keep in mind, that once you get your face out there, people will contact you. I do have to say, though, I wanted to mention this a while back, is that one of my favorite panel experiences, like when we were talking about, the audience, was the Fallout panel. So, I love Fallout.
Pictures of it somewhere.
I love Fallout, the game and whatever. And so we went as a whole, the whole panel was dressed from Fallout 4. And that fan group was like the most humble, accepting, so they were so excited just to meet other fans that I felt so welcome, like family, after that panel. Because it's hard, isn't it? Because there were a ton of hardcore fans in that audience. That's from the Iron Cosplay contest.
So that's in our costumes, and that made me laugh because we were just standing there being such goofball. This is literally on the front page of Fan Fusion, so that's another thing.
Is it?
Photo made up on the front page.
That's so cute. I didn't even know that.
So just be prepared.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was at a con in Dubai when I used to live over there, and someone sent me a picture and they're like, "Hey, look, you're on this ad for this." I'm like, ugh. Like, sometimes you just can't like help it. Like, if the main photographer's there taking photos, that's your consent pretty much. So I ended up as like the front face of their advertisements at one of the cons. I'm like, I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I know some people will, but just be aware of that if they take it, you're pretty much giving them consent. They'll say like, I'm official photographer, and they take your picture. I mean, they can't just snap it when you're not looking and then use it. They obviously will tell you. So
can you see this? Did it show? Is it not showing?
I see your whole folder.
Okay, let me share the actual.
But that was a lot of fun, was that Fallout panel, because I get nervous because gatekeeping is still a thing. And because Fallout 4 was my first Fallout game, I was nervous because there's obviously 4 or 5 more before that. I think there is 4 because there's 1, Fallout 1, 2. Oh no.
There's just Fallout. There's Fallout. There's Fallout 2, 3, 4. In 76, there's also New Vegas.
Yeah. So there's more than 4 before that, and I haven't played them all. I've played Fallout 3 and 4 and 76. So I was nervous because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, I'm old school, but they just love it. Fallout is it's such a cool game, and the community is so amazing. Yeah. So that was a great experience, and you can see all the way at the end there. That's Ben. Ben in his Novaroon cosplay and his power armor. That's what got Sam late into the panel. So, but it was
share the other picture. I don't know if it's sharing it. But,
as far as cosplay, like I've experienced a lot of different things, but panels is a whole nother universe, and it's a great experience. It was so fun to experience something new, even though I'd been cosplaying and going to conventions for so long. Panels are a fairly new thing for me. I've only been doing them for the last couple of years. And
these people are so happy to just see people who enjoyed Fallout in the panel.
Yes. So it's exciting. The Fallout community is amazing.
I agree. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was definitely cool. I need to get working. Well, I have a potential secret project for Fallout because somebody may have printed armor too small, and I might end up with something.
Ooh.
So, too small for this individual, perfect size for my height.
So wow, we're already coming to the end, guys. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. I want to allude to something that I haven't discussed with Sam yet. We kind of discussed it, but Sam and I have something cool coming up. That's all I can say. We have something cool that's in the works, kind of. We have to audition for it first.
Oh,
yeah. It's not confirmed. We have to audition for it. But,
we should do that today. Just record it.
Okay, we could. Well, let's work out the script first because I'm so. But yeah, we could. But if we get picked, we want to dress up as something similar, but we have different ideas of what we want to dress up as. So keep that in mind, guys. We might put a poll out. And see if you vote.
Which set of characters would you rather see on stage
for this mystery event? So that's something that might be coming soon.
We'll know by October.
Yes, yeah. And if we don't,
October, I think actually is when we're supposed to know.
And if we don't get chosen, then we'll still carry out whatever you voted for. So
yeah. We'll just randomly run around in it one day.
There you go. Randomly. Very
But
randomly.
we're gonna close up. If you do end up with any questions about panels or how to become a panelist, please message Cause Talk Live. You can email us, or you can go on Facebook, or you can go to our website, whatever is easiest for you.
Or our Discord.
Or Discord,
Sorry.
yes.
We're trying to be more active on it.
If you don't feel comfortable doing any of that, you are also welcome to message either one of us individually too. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. And if you really feel uncomfortable with that, you can email us. You can email us at Gmail. So we are always happy to hear from you guys.
Yep.
Just don't show up on our doorstep, please.
If you know where I live, we're gonna fight.
Yeah, just please don't do that. Even if you do know where we live, just don't do that. That's freaky.
Okay, well, I'm going to call it a day. I'm still working on a commission. I'm making really good progress with it, but I want to make sure that
we do have a couple of announcements because
tonight
snap,
we have a lot. Yeah. Okay, so tonight, Tempe Pixie Pros, 7 p.m., right?
7 to 8 is cosplay night.
7 to 8 p.m. Pixie Pros Tempe is cosplay night. I think there might still be a couple tickets left, but I don't think there's a lot. And so
Sam will be there. I'll show up. I'm not sure when.
I don't know
I'll be
what
there.
I'm wearing yet.
I'll show up just cash because I want to just check it out. So if you guys want to see us, we'll be there. There's also another one next Sunday at Arrowhead. You can find all this information out on our Instagram link tree. And then we also do have that Sabotin Con after party on September 6th at Pixie Pros Tempe. So be sure to check those out, guys. And
we have
again,
a DJ.
Yes, a DJ and a food truck and all sorts of cool stuff. And photographer. We'll get somebody. We haven't figured out our food truck, but we'll do
coffee.
something.
Honestly, I think coffee would be smart because everyone's going to be a little bit tired from the con, even if they want to party some more. Just give them some caffeine and let them go crazy.
We'll see. But we'll have photographers there, your favorite photographers. You already know them, and videographer as well, so it'll be a good time. And you can still keep that con momentum going after it's closed. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.